Welcome to Bold Moves Radio. The show is Prudent Woman with myself, Rhulani Baloyi. You are all welcome, those who are listening to Bold Moves Radio, those who are watching us through our Facebook page, those on YouTube, you are all welcome. We look forward to having a great and a wonderful time this evening as we continue to empower a prudent woman with information and knowledge to be ready to respond accordingly in seasons of need. Tonight, I have with me our resident dietitian, Sesimandla Mabunda. Welcome, Sesimandla.
Evening, Ceci, and thank you to our listeners and our viewers online. I'm happy to be here today.
We look forward to learning from you. You know, once I say we have Sesimandla on our show, you know what to look forward to. Today, our topic is wealthy eating. We are going to be talking about diets, that we should not live to eat, as she said last week, but we must eat. We must eat so that we live, not to live so that we can eat. Today, we take our discussion further on the topic of eating to wealthy eating. We want to learn about diets because as women, I know we always want to look good. We always want to look the part. But the question is, what is it that will make you look the part in terms of your body weight? Last week, Sesimandla said to us, the size of a person, you know, your body build does not determine or does not translate to your fitness. But you may be coming from a family where their body structure is big, but if you are not taking care of yourself, eating healthy, looking after yourself, exercise, having social support, you may not be healthy. So today we take it further. Sesimandla, you are here today as we continue. There were a lot of interest around the issues of eating. Yes, we have dealt with the emotional part of it with our psychologist, Dr. Mkateko, and we continue to respond to your questions on our Facebook page and even on our YouTube and our WhatsApp numbers. But tonight, ladies, I invite you, and even fathers and brothers and sisters back home, I invite you, journey with us. Drop your questions. On WhatsApp, you can use 081-358-8745. Those who are on Facebook and YouTube, you can use the comment section. We will go through the questions and be able to respond. But I should declare, having a dietitian here online will not amount to advice, but you may want a one-on-one. Sesimandla is the director of Masana Dietitians, and she has promised us prudent women that one day we will have a full day where you can come through. We talk on different topics that you may have shown interest wanting to know more on, and then she can also be able to engage on a one-on-one. How about that? I believe that is wonderful to have such a professional who is willing to give their time, because eating is a very important thing. Sesimandla, you know, when I was preparing for this show, I went through a number of readings, and what I picked up was that diets, it's sort of a product, you know, it's sort of something that someone sits and come up with and say, this can help you do 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I also, in the midst of my research, lost myself. I could not fully understand what, maybe from your side academically, what will you call a diet?
Okay, Inkom Ceci, thank you again for having us as Masana dietitians to come to the show and engage with prudent women. And really my objective today is to talk to prudent women about the different types of diets that we have and try and show them the right kind of diet that will lead us to now what eat so that we can live and not live to eat. There are so many diets. You just asked me now what a diet is. In simple terms, a diet is any combination of food that any person or community or family chooses to follow on a regular basis. So I can choose a non-dairy diet. I can choose whatever you said, low carbohydrate earlier on, that it's any combination of foods that we choose to eat as a family. So that is what a diet is in simple terms.
Oh, so that's a diet. And according to professionals, one should have a diet that comprises of all the different nutrients, isn't it?
Okay, so basically, whether you call your eating habits a diet or not, it's basically a diet. So that's what I'm saying. All of us are following some sort of a diet, whether you call it healthy eating diet or you call it junk eating or you don't call it a diet, it's a diet in any case. When you wake up and you put something in your tummy and you eat at lunch and you eat at dinner, regardless of what you are eating, you are following a particular diet. Right? So that is out of us eating every day, no matter how we are eating, our cultural way of eating. That is a form of a diet or the other. Now, what we need to understand is that why are we eating? This is the question that we were talking about briefly last week. So we are eating so that we are healthy. You need 4 groups, basically. We spoke about carbohydrates. We think our brain works because of carbohydrate or starch. We spoke of protein. Protein, our body is able to fight off infections. Our immunity is high. We are able to recover quickly after an infection or a sickness because of protein. We spoke of fats and oils. We need fats and oils because of insulation. So you protect your inside organs with the layer of fat that you have underneath your skin. We need vitamins and minerals, which are the Rolls Royce really of the nutrients industry, because they house all the functions for you to be able to do all the other functions. For you to be able to think properly, you would need a vitamin of some sort, what we call B vitamins. For you to be able to use your protein to heal yourself, you need vitamins. For you to be able to be fully insulated against cold and whatnot, you need vitamins to do that. So vitamins are sort of a carrier nutrient that we all need for us to be able to fulfill all our bodily functions. And if you have all that coupled with water, then you are considered to be eating all the right nutrients for you to do what? To live a healthy lifestyle. That's what we're calling it. Now, the challenge, if I may just add, the challenge is that when we go on these diets, and in Masona, I'm using inverted commas, because now the word diet has been misused to what? Talk about restriction. So that is now being a challenge now, because when someone says, I'm going on a diet, automatically we are taking it that that person is going to restrict a particular nutrient or the other. The problem with that, now that we know the functions of the different nutrients, so if you stop eating carbohydrates, when you are saying you don't want your brain to use the carbohydrates for you to think properly. That's basically what you're saying in the long term. If you cut out on the protein, you're basically saying it's okay when I get sick, even if I don't recover quickly, it's okay. So that is the danger of now going on this, what we call weight loss, highly restrictive weight loss diets. That's where the problem comes in. And I think that is why we are having this talk here again. Yes. A diet is not a problem, but this extreme, highly restrictive diets is what the problem is because of their unhealthy nature.
Sissy, I hear you, and I would like us tonight to go through a few that I have actually selected. I know there's a whole lot of different techniques. I will not call them diets after you have given us the description of what a diet is, but I will call them techniques. And you know, with what you have just said, I'm sitting here and I ask myself, and I think ladies you may have your own example that you may wish to use, but I decide to use a vehicle. I have a car. For my car to move from one point to another, it needs quite a number of things. And I will equate those to the nutrients. Then I say, this car consumes a lot of fuel. Now with the petrol price being that high, let me, instead of putting 70 liters of fuel, I'll put 35 and then I'll add water. So I'm restricting it on the fuel to cut. Then I expect this vehicle to run for its lifespan. Let's say I felt I can drive this car up until 300,000 kilometers. Definitely it means it cannot with what you are saying. So even ourselves, when we take on these techniques and start curbing on certain nutrients because I want to look slim, and I do not know who actually gave us the description of saying a big person is not beautiful and a slim person is the one that is beautiful. I think at the end of the show, maybe Ceci Mandla, you will be able to help us, as a dietitian around it. But I get what you are saying on the different types of techniques. And I have singled out about 6 of the techniques that I have personally come across. And I'm guilty as charged. At some point, I thought, and these things goes with the stages in life. There's a stage in life where you feel, I need to look like that model, and not knowing what is it that this model is doing and how harmful what they are doing is. So I have selected about 6 of those. I wish for you, Ceci, take us through each one of them. Even if you don't go into detail, as I've promised the Prudent women that we are going to have that seminar, but just highlight the things that you as a dietitian know that these techniques are focusing on, which may be harmful, and also the good things that these techniques may have towards our bodies. I would like you to talk on the low carb diets, low sugar. We have high protein. We've got low fats. We've got the vegetarian. We've got what they call a blood group. I don't know how you put it in terms of your jargon within your field of dietitians. But those 6 techniques, I know we may not be able to exhaust all of them, but our listeners, we invite you, if you have those techniques that which are out there, in which you may wish to ask, please feel free to drop your comments. But Ceci, can you take us through these techniques? I'm saying let us zoom into these techniques because, of course, we have spoken about how important nutrients are, but we have not spoken on what are the dangers of us restricting our intake of these nutrients. Because when I look at the different techniques, they are restrictive of certain nutrients.
Okay, I think to answer that in a nutshell is that, okay, we have different types of situations which require a dietitian to intervene. Okay, so if it's a clinical intervention, right, it means that person is in a hospital, that person has been diagnosed with a particular condition that requires you to go and try and counsel them regarding the type of nutrients that they will need for them to manage that condition. So when we come to those 6 that you have mentioned, clinically, when someone is diagnosed, for example, with your diabetes, when someone is diagnosed with your high blood pressure, the chronic types, and when someone is diagnosed with your high cholesterol, all those kind of chronic diseases, you will need to come in and counsel them regarding them. If that is coupled with extreme weight or obesity, you need to counsel them to say, okay, let us cut down on this, let us cut down on that, so that you can decrease your amount, for example, of blood pressure that you are suffering with. That is one side. Okay, the side that is causing us a lot of problems and a side that takes us to a lot of danger outcomes, it's the side where a person comes in, they are healthy, they don't have a problem, and they just saw a model out there who's wearing a size 32, and now they want to be a size 32. And they go and they find this beautiful diet that says you cut out everything and you only eat high protein in your food every day as part of your meal plans. And you will find that what is common in all these diets, you restrict, meaning you cut out all the other nutrients and you restrict yourself to one nutrient. In this case, is the protein. Now, the problem with that is that, number one, you are going to send your body into what we call a deficiency state of the other nutrients. That is not healthy. Number two, in case of protein, you are going to increase a lot of protein in your body that is going to stress your kidneys, that will also result in other sicknesses and long-term problems for yourself, which now you were thinking you are doing yourself good by losing weight, but you're actually sending yourself to an early grave long term. So we need to be very careful of that. Low carbohydrates, if someone is considered, and the only way you can be considered overweight and therefore needing to lose a particular weight, the safe way is to go and consult a dietitian, because a dietitian will come after I take your diet history. I will say, okay, based on your diet history here, you are consuming a lot of carbohydrates. Although carbohydrates are good, when you are taking them a lot in your diet, then they also lead to what? To problems. And in this case, your problem could be white overweight. So when I come up with a diet plan for you, we look at that and then we say, okay, let's take you to a low carb. But any diet that tells you to remove any of the mentioned 4 dietary groups above is not going to be sustainable. Number one, it's going to send you to a negative metabolic state. Number two, you are going to be deficient of that nutrient that you need for you to live healthy. Like I said, we need those 4 food groups for us to be considered to be what we call holistically healthy. Now, are you going to lose weight or not? Yes, you are going to lose weight because you are cutting down on a portion of nutrients that you need. Meaning, in simple terms, you are eating less than you were eating before. So you are going to lose weight. But what is the danger there? The danger is that you are restricting yourself of this particular nutrient that you need, that your body needs long-term for you to be healthy. So that becomes a problem. And then you spoke of a low sugar diet. Yes, there is different classes of sugar. We do have what we call healthy sugar and unhealthy sugar. So if you are going to cut out on the unhealthy sugar, which you are going to find in your fizzy drinks, which you're going to find in your chocolates, all those junk sweets or junk food items that are sweet in nature, yes, you are going to get the health benefits of that. So in simple terms, what I'm trying to say is that all those diets that you have mentioned have got a place. But now the problem is when people completely cut out a particular nutrient and increasing too much a particular nutrient like protein, and then that now takes you out of the balance of healthy eating, and then you end up suffering other consequences in the name of losing weight. So it's a bit complicated to explain it in simple terms, but people need to understand that any diet that is going to tell you to cut out any of the 4 above completely out will not be sustainable, because you can imagine, even now, we tell people are told, okay, stop eating pap, busha. You will stop eating pap for 3 months. After 3 months, one day somewhere, you will let down your gut and you're going to have uswa. You know you are going to eat uswa for the past 3 months with what you are going to eat when you now go back to the work. Now it's pointless. You end up even gaining more weight than you have lost. Why? Because the body needs the starch for it to live healthily. So that is why I'm saying you can experience short-term wins by cutting out, but it's not sustainable and it's not even healthy. So if we are talking about wealthy eating, that will not be it. Cutting out certain nutrients will not be it, but eating everything in moderation will lead you to sustainable, wealthy eating. Vegetarianism, okay, the last one was being a vegetarian. Being a vegetarian, yes, but we do have vitamins that you only get from animal sources, what we call fat-soluble vitamins. So that is why most of the vegetarians will have to supplement. In most cases, they take extra supplements so that you can also get the other vitamins that you cannot necessarily get from a plant-based diet. So again, you see, vegetarian food it's better because they know that they need to take extra supplements. But the other ones, you find that people just cut out a whole group of nutrients and not even replacing it in any other form. That is why it leads to these problems that we sometimes have. And again, there's injections, there's what that suppresses your appetite. It works on your brain, part of your brain. It will numb your cortex so that you don't have an appetite. It will work for that period. However, the minute you stop, you are going to go back, and what research has found that you even gain way more than what you have previously lost. So now, the bottom line for a prudent woman is they need to look at this too. Do I need short-term weight loss for this period, or do I need to live a healthy life by now making sure that I eat good proportions of my nutrients, all my 4 food groups, and I eat portion sizes that are right for my weight, that I am sustainable in what I need to do for me to live a healthy lifestyle.
Yes. I love it because you concluded on the vegetarian, and I see one of the prudent women asking a question: how healthy is it to convert to a vegan diet? Because almost all the conventional food we know is replaced by alternatives. So I think a question is linked to what you have said about vegans having to use alternatives or supplements to cover up for the nutrients that they will not be getting from animals. Maybe you want to comment on that one?
Yes, exactly. A vegetarian diet, they normally would supplement with some vitamin supplements on the side to complement so that they can have all the 4 food groups that I spoke about. This goes back to show this is how physiologically we have been created. You need to have these 4 food groups. The minute you cut out on one of the food groups for the longest period of time, that's where the problem comes. And at the minute you consume one at a very bigger portion or majorly and restricting the other ones, that's where a problem comes. So that is why I know dietitians are not famous for this or saying this. We say everything in moderation. Again, today, the answer is still the same. It's everything in moderation because your body needs all these things. I like your analogy of a car. A car needs a lot of things for it to be able to move from point A to point B. Same applies to our bodies. You need all these 4 food groups, including water, for your body to take you from one point A to point B. For your body to be able to fight off infections, you need a particular nutrient. For your body to recover, for your body to, we're talking about your skin to glow, those are different types of nutrients. For you to be able to think, to apply your mind, you need some form of a nutrient for you to do all that. So if we can we can rather focus on, when we are going to have our seminar, we are going to meet as Prudent Women to come up with ways with which we can have all the 4 food groups, like in right proportions, sustainable way, coming up with cooking methods, because you cannot be expected to eat like the same thing the same way every day. What we can rather talk about is how to present these nutrients in a different way, but still be sustainable when we are eating for our wealth or wealthy eating.
Eating, yes. So we need to be creative in how we present our dishes as Prudent Women. I came across a doctor who was speaking on the issue of food. He said something that opened my eyes. He said he had been practicing as a doctor, and throughout he practiced for about 20 years. Throughout his career for 20 years, he has been, whenever a patient came through, he will diagnose a patient and give them medicine. But he said he had a wake-up call. Fortunately, he's a child of God. He said somehow he broke through to see something that he never saw all his life, to realize that when a person is sick, the best medicine is food. When a person is sick, the best medicine is food. When a person wants to fight or avoid certain sickness, the best medicine is food. And then I realized how important food is. And I felt so guilty because I looked at myself and I see other women in the supermarkets. Whenever we buy food, we're not even intentional to go through the thin prints on the packaging. We just grab and go. Or we just hear someone saying, there's a new brand, they're selling this and that. You just go and grab and go. And this doctor said, it's very important. Human beings, God has graced them with so much wisdom, and unfortunately, we do not utilize it. He said, it's so unfortunate. Animals will never eat anything that they do not eat. He likened it to a cow. He said, you can take meat before a cow, it will not eat it. Because a cow knows I am it's a herbivore, or it's a herbivore. They will never eat meat. But a human being, anyone who comes up with anything and say you can eat this, they just grab it and eat. And he said, it's unfortunate that what God has given us as medicine, we have neglected it to be just by the way. That's why we can discard it. We can replace it with anything instead of using that as what God has given us. I just want to leave you with that thought, Ceci Mandla. We will be right back with you as we go for an ad break. You will make your comment when you come back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Streaming 24/7.
24/7. Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Africa, nakupenda sana. Oh, Africa, nakupenda sana.
Welcome to Bold Moves Radio. The show is Prudent Woman. You are with myself, Rhulani Baloyi. Our guest tonight is Sesimandla of Masana Dietitians. She's here with us talking on wealthy eating. Sesimandla, maybe you want to comment on what I have observed from the doctor that I was talking about before we went on an ad break.
Thank you, Ceci. So, okay, for me, shakudya or food, and more especially weight loss, it's a $74 billion industry. It's a business. Now, when it's a business like that, obviously, all these companies will come up with all sorts of things that will tell you that this is good, this is not good, this is what not, this will help you lose weight. And they know that women are we are very vain creatures. We like looking good. We are, pushed by the image and whatnot and self-esteem. However, bottom line is for us to be healthy in terms of nutrition, those food groups are what we need. Now, in terms of choosing what you need to eat, I'm hoping today I'm talking to a person who will understand that moving forward, what I need nutritionally for me to be healthy, it's 4 food groups. Now, what they're going to do is to go now, take it a step further and check, how do I get those 4 food groups in all my meals? Which now we say basically it's 3 big meals and 2 small meals throughout the day. How do I make sure that my breakfast is composed of those 4 food groups? So the doctor is right, because the minute you are healthy, the minute you are eating all these 4 food groups, they say your health starts in your gut. And your gut, that's where all the food goes to after digestion. Now, it means if you are eating healthy food, your gut will be healthy. If you are not eating healthy food, your gut will become poisonous. And once it becomes poisonous, the poison enters into your blood, and that's where all the sicknesses come from. So I tend to agree with what the sentiments of the doctors are surrounding food as medicine. Because if you look at the people that focuses on eating those 4 food groups in proportion, they hardly ever get sick, because they know why they are eating this. So they know why they need a bit of starch. They know why they need a bit of protein. But if you don't know, that's why it goes back to, why are we eating? And I think it's a question that we also spoke about last week. So Mina, there's a lot we can say about foods. That's why we need that session. And I think Farm Life will be very kind. We're putting them on the spot to host us, please. So Farm Life, please be kind to us and host us as Prudent Women when we come and unpack fully this topic of eating. It's a very, very big and deep topic, because it does not only end on knowing the 4 food groups. Another thing, last week, that's why we had our good doctor, our psychologist, is because it's a very emotional thing. Eating is a very emotional thing, especially to women. So we need to sit down and unpack all those issues. But for today, if people, our Prudent women, can understand that you need those 4 food groups, you need to understand the portion sizes, then they will know that eventually, and it's not a quick win scheme, it's not that one, it's a long-term sustainable way. And by the way, even gaining weight, you don't gain weight overnight. It happens over time. But surprisingly, when we are trying to lose this weight, now we want to take the quick way out.
Best way to go.
Exactly. So as Prudent women, what we are saying is that, yes, I might have gained a kilo or 2 here and there. Is there a healthy way of losing that weight? Yes, there is a healthy way. And that is what Prudent women are all about.
And I hear we talking on having the 5 meals, 3 big meals and 2 small ones. And I realized that for one to live a healthy lifestyle, of course, you need a balanced meal, but I also realized you need proper or good social support and exercise. Can you take us through in terms of social support? Because what I have picked up on social support, it's some of us as mothers or as heads of the family, we are to be blamed. I had Prof. Lumumba. He was talking on how we are different, Africans, we are different from the Chinese. He likened our eating habits to also have an impact on the way we behave. He said, the Chinese, when they eat in small bowls, but Africans, when we eat in big bowls. And I that drove me to start thinking, to say, what is it that as a mother I am doing within my household to make sure that I encourage good, healthy eating habits? Some of us, we have, we have modernized it. We've got nice and beautiful kitchens. and I have a canister decorated nicely on my cupboard. On, you know, when you walk into the kitchen, anyone can reach it. It has biscuits. I have a canister with nice wrapped chocolates. I have, when I have the utensils that I use in the household, you've got those big, nice square plates. And I realized that also, it's something that encourages bad eating habits. Because who will resist a cookie if it's on, you know, even a 5-year-old can reach it and eat, snack on it whenever you feel like. So maybe you know from your profession how this element contributes to one's mindset in terms of eating.
Okay, thank you, sis. So in as part of our counseling, what we say is that, okay, now that you know, right? So I'm not a fan of just blaming people. If people don't know, people will do what they've been taught or what they come from. Now, once you know the right way of doing something, now that's where you get judged upon, because now you have knowledge. For example, it was considered to be in fashion to say all those things, to have the beautiful glasses filled up with all those treats. However, now that you know that there are maybe healthier options of the treats, because there's nothing wrong in having treats. If you want that, then rather choose the healthier options, you know, that are good for your children, and not maybe choose the unhealthy options of just having sweets. And what are the healthy options? Someone can quickly ask. Those are the options that are snack versions that will contain all those 4 food groups. The parting shot today is, I want prudent women to go home thinking about what they are eating, be it for weight loss purposes or be it for being healthy or wealthy eating, as we have termed our topic. And what you need to look for is that whatever it is that you're eating should contain those 4 food groups that I've spoken about. So there are snacks. There are snack bars that contain those 4 food groups. You can have those as your treats that you can put. There are dried fruits that you can put instead of your chocolates and all those other things. For breakfast options, we do have products such as NutriBoost that has all the four and more of the nutrients that will make you at least to eat healthy diets or healthy foods for your breakfast. Because another thing that we should not shy away from, sis, is that sometimes we are working parents, time is of it's a scarce commodity. So now we need to come up with products that will still give us the 4 nutrients without jeopardizing our health, because it's not always possible for us to eat from the ground like that will be the ideal solution. We should be able to go to our gardens and just pick fruits and pick vegetables and go and cook, but it's not possible in this day and age. So when it comes to those kind of things, all of these things play a big role. And another thing is our mindset. Our mindset will contribute a lot. So when you say, Prof. Lumumba spoke about the plate size, he is very, very right, because the portion sizes are also controlled by the plate size that you have in front of you. If Mibeka, a big plate in front of you, your mind says you need to fill up that big plate. Now, now this is part of the strategy that we use when we are trying to get someone to lose weight, but while eating healthily. We say, okay, let's reduce the plate size. If we use a small plate, we still dish out your starch, your protein, your vegetables, all the things that you need according to the 4 food groups. You end up eating smaller portions, but still healthy portions. So that works. What you see with your eyes also translates to the back of your brain as well. Another thing you spoke about, the social influences. That cannot be said enough. You know, where your state of mental health is also contributes a lot to what you're going to eat as part of your diet. So you find people that say, but I don't eat a lot and what? But those people are people that have issues in their mental health, and that makes them sometimes binge eat. We were talking about emotional eating last week and whatnot. So it's a very comprehensive or holistic approach that we need to start now implementing when we want to now do what? Follow the wealthy eating or healthy eating diet. So that's why I'm saying this topic is a lot, an hour is not enough, really.
Not enough.
That is why, honestly, Farm Life, please give us a day. Let us go as prudent women. We will unpack all the other factors that affect us from eating a healthy diet. Because most of us, the song about the 4 food groups, we've been singing it since primary school. So it's not for lack of knowledge that we don't know what we are supposed to be eating. But I think it's all the other things that come around it that is also making us not to be sure. So yes.
There are lots of contributing factors around eating and anything in life. What I'm getting tonight, prudent women, is that we must be intentional of everything. You see how utensils, your kitchen utensils, can have an impact on how healthy your family is. It's something that you will not think it's possible. You will never think of that. I mean, for one, whenever I went out to say I want a new set of plates, new set of bowls, it never came to my mind. But let me tell you, when I read that statement, when I heard Prof. Lumumba saying it, I stopped, thought about it, and I went to the kitchen and swapped the utensils. I took away those big ones. I said, no one has to use these ones. Let us use the small ones. And to my surprise, the family uses the small ones and never go back for seconds. So I can attest to it. The mindset plays a very big role. But again, this one, I know mostly as Africans, we are guilty of it. Whenever we want to do something and want to justify it, we bring the word culture. And I have learned through time, through my own studies, to say our description of culture is wrong. It's way out, because we tend to want to equate culture to not wanting to adjust with time. And culture, in terms of those who have researched, who have written books, they say culture evolves, which means culture will adapt to the times and lives of the people who are living at that time. But for us, we keep on referring to, it's my culture. I'm bringing it, this issue of culture, to say my observation has been that when one wants to not eat a balanced meal, they refer to culture. When you find a group either of women or men wanting to binge on carbohydrates and a little bit of veggies and more of protein, they say it's our culture. A man must eat pap. They say our culture, you cannot live without pap. How have you seen the impact of culture affecting people's thoughts around healthy eating?
We do get that. We do get the famous one, the one that I always use about using the size of your fist as your portion control for your starch. You know how people will laugh or how people will shuffle uncomfortably in their seats. But trust me, culture, we cannot continue to use culture as an excuse, number one, and we cannot selectively use culture as and when it suits us. Culture before, Pakokwani, they would eat those big portions because number one, they never had access to the other bits. Protein was a rare commodity at the time. It was that namiro or vegetables. But right after that, they would go back to the fields. They will go back to plowing. So you see, the amount of food they were eating was equal to the amount of energy they were taking out through the activities that they were doing. Now, today, sitting here as Mandla, I cannot say, no, I need to eat this much pap, whereas I don't couple that with the same amount of activity at the end of the day. Now, so culture cannot continue to be used as an excuse for eating big portion sizes of, in particular, it's meat that will be in big portions for men, and it will be the starch, whether it's sample or rice or pap or what, it will be big portions of that. Now we need to understand that everything should be in moderation. So when you look at the size of your plate, and you look at your hands, let's learn to use, let's adopt this culture and see how far it takes us. Right?
Yeah.
Let's leave
We
that
develop
other
a new culture now.
Yes. And look, the culture evolves. Let's evolve into this new culture. This new culture says, if I want to eat a starch, I look at my fingers and I use them as my portion sizes. And this will tell me that I'm eating more or less the right portion sizes of the nutrient groups that I'm supposed to eat. A cup for your meal, a cup of pap or rice or tohobe or brown pap or yini, that will be what your portion sizes for your starch, size of your feast. Yes, it's uncomfortable because it's a new culture. So let's change our mindset and adopt this new culture and see how far it takes us. And then what are we going to do? We move to our protein. Our protein, we look at I hope people can see my hands, the size of your palm as the portion size for your protein source. So that is what we are going to use. And all of us are different. So all of us are different, and that is what you're going to use. And you're going to use the size of your thumb. This bit here is the amount of fat and oil that you need for your meal. If Mandla stew, it's 1 teaspoon per head in the house for the family if you're cooking. I know it's not the famous one, but for us now to eat healthily, for us to lose that weight in the right way, for us to be able to heal ourselves when we are sick and respond nicely to sicknesses, we need to change. I mean, COVID really, if nothing else, told us that we need to take our eating or our food seriously. So these are ways that we can do that. Okay. And the thing is, when you are looking at your vegetables, then because that's where the vitamins and minerals are, that is 2 cups. And plate, if you really close your eyes and look at that plate, it's a very healthy portion of food.
But and also beautiful.
And you become full, you will not eat in the next 3 hours because your portion and your meals are divided like that. So it will be filling. And if you don't think of culture and you look at it that you are trying to now start living, no, you start to eat so that you can live, and you're not just living to eat. You will change your mindset, but it's all in the mindset. But I believe our prudent women, the ones that we are talking about, the ones that are cut from a different cloth, will understand that for me to stop being a slave of all these endless diets, I need to go this route. I need to find products that are going to give me all the nutrients so that I can live happily ever after with my family.
Yes, that's very true. Our dietitian. I see a question. We have spoken on the different techniques of diets that are out there, but I see someone talking asking about one that I did not talk about, the one of blood groups. And they are very particular in their question to say this one was even spoken about by someone who also professed that this was what was the intentional, was the initial intention by God to say, depending on your blood group, you must eat this. And I'm not sure, but maybe from your profession, you know what to say, but I've always asked myself, then God will create all these nice things for certain groups and say, for you, this one is not accessible. I don't know how true is it, but maybe you have an explanation of why we have different blood groups and are they linked to the types of food that we're supposed to eat?
Okay, sis. I think let me answer it this way. So far, there is no research that has been done and came to the conclusion that there is a link between a particular food item and your blood type. That's number one. That is the scientific research that is out there. I corner that link. Number two, why would a diet that tells you that you are only restricted to eat this type of food work? Is that, like I said before, I said if you restrict something that you're supposed to have and you restrict the portion sizes, obviously your body will react. And when it reacts, it means you might lose weight in the short term. However, how sustainable is that? Let me give you an example. Let's say you are a particular blood group, for example. I don't want to mention the types, right? They say, okay, this blood group here, you are not supposed to eat what? Red meat, for example. And you grew up eating red meat. And now you are told to stop completely eating that. How sustainable is that without us going into the debate of whether red meat or whatnot is healthy or not healthy for you? So my point is, they say all the diets that we have, let me tell you something, they work on, number one, cutting out a particular food item. Number two, they focus on restricting your portion sizes. Number three, most of them focus on increasing your activity levels. So these three things on their own, even if you can apply them in the current diet that you are eating now, you are going to see changes in your weight if you are if you do that regularly, if you are on that diet for 3 or 4 months or something else. Do you understand? So it's not to say it's your blood that is making you lose weight or gain weight.
It's the restriction.
It's the other things that are coupled with your blood. So tomorrow I can come and say, crazy dieters say, let's leave out everything and just let's run. How sustainable is that? Or I just say, there's one that is crazy as well, where you only eat cabbage soup. Are people losing weight on that? Definitely they are losing weight on that because you're restricting the amount of calories that you're supposed to be eating. So my point is, good people, any diet that you are going to go on, if it makes you restrict the particular food that you're not supposed to eat, if it makes you cut down on the portion sizes, if it's going to make you increase on your activity levels, on the short term, yes, you are going to lose. What the danger is on the other side, because number one, it's not sustainable. Number two, it will make you develop other conditions that will be caused by you restricting yourself on those other things. And you might end up in more danger than you were when you were just a couple of weight more, or a couple of kilograms more.
So the choice is yours. You go on a diet or you go the route of doing things the right way. That's what I'm getting from our wonderful professional. We are running out of time. It's just 5 minutes before we conclude our talk, but I see there are quite a number of questions. Of course, we will go to Facebook and YouTube and answer your questions even after the show, but we promise we will have that session. I just want to take us through one question that has been asked our dietitian. The question goes like, how does one prevent themselves from being fixated on calculating portions and calculating calories or etc.? Because often on Instagram, when you come across healthy eating content, it's people using scales to weigh their portions or counting how many sweets they can eat in a small packet to not exceed their determined calorie amount. What would you like to say on this? For me, as we open the show to indicate these things of diets, for me, it's someone sitting and coming up with products and techniques and selling them so that they can make money. The question is, how do you make that decision to follow them? Do you have all the information for you to be saying, I am informed, this is correct? What would you like to say?
Okay, sis. Yeah, you know what? We can actually go around in circles. We can go around in circles. Bottom line is, there is a healthy way of losing weight if that is your goal. But the goal of us as prudent women is to understand the role of nutrition or nutrients in our body so that we learn to eat so that we can live, but we do not just live, so we don't live for eating. When someone lives for eating, they will go to Instagram. Someone will tell them, eat a banana, they eat a banana. Someone will tell them, eat a lollipop, they eat a lollipop. You are not going to get anywhere because, like I said, this is a $1 billion industry, and the trends are saying, the reports are saying it's still growing fast. So the gimmicks and the tricks around weight loss industry are still going to go. So it's not going to change today. There's still be more and more and more things that are going to come with a promise of making you to lose weight. Now, there's this other way where you understand why your body needs a particular nutrient, what your body needs for it to fight off infections, what your body needs for it to glow and grow nicely and to prevent yourself from getting the lifestyle-related chronic conditions that we are suffering from today. So there are these two options, but as prudent women, we are going to go with the one that will give us life and life in abundance. We are going to eat consciously. We are going to eat mindfully. We are not just going to eat anything because of the promises that it's going to give us. That is why when we meet at Farm Life, we are going to learn how to read even the nutritional tables at the back of each and every product that you buy from the shelf, so that you can start learning from yourself. Okay, if I need carbohydrates and my feast is the size of one portion size of carbohydrate, it means now if these two foods belong to the same group, if I eat two of them in this meal, it means now I'm removing the space for protein or for vegetables or for whatever else nutrient you need in your plate. So we are going to be conscious when we are eating our food. We are not going to follow the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the Twitters and all those other social media platforms that give us any other information other than the one that will make us to eat so that we live.
Oh, our dietitian, as always, time is never enough when we talk on the subject of food. But unfortunately, we have to end it here. But what I love is she has promised us that we will have that one day, and we will announce it. That will happen before the end of this year. Just get ready. Jot down your questions. Look forward to what you're going to ask her, because she will be there in person. You will be able to interact and even get a professional advice. As we've indicated, this session does not amount to advice, but it's a session to be an eye-opener. And we'd like to invite you, for you who can afford to visit a dietitian, you can visit any dietitian. I'm sure you know someone around you, but if you do not know anyone, you're welcome to give us a call. We'll give you the contacts of our dietitians, Masana dietitians, as she has been a blessing to us. Ceci Mandla, can you bid our listeners farewell? Even as we know you're still gonna be here as our resident dietitian, but on the topic of food, unfortunately today we close it out here, and we shall be talking on other areas of life from next week.
Inkomo, our prudent women, I hope we have learned something, and I hope through this series of healthy eating, we have managed to at least shed some light as to what healthy eating is. And we have at least managed to convince one person who's going to go back, stop restricting, but to be mindful as to what they are eating and why. The most important thing is to understand, why am I supposed to eat this nutrient? So if we have done that, then our job here is done, Ceci, for this series. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You have surely attained your objective. I am convicted. No more gimmicks. I'm going to do it the correct way, consistent, and be intentional of what I eat and my family. Thank you so much. Have a blessed evening. We shall meet next week, same time, same place. Have a blessed week. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Streaming 24/7. 24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Africa, nakupenda sana. Oh, Africa, nakupenda sana.